Alrighty, well, welcome folks. I'm seeing more and more names that I got to connect with at leadership. So hello to you, hello all, and welcome. We're now streaming, we're now recording. Everything is working out. And yes, I am surrounded by fluffy white stuff. So this is Utah. Our springs can be very unpredictable. So I would love to hear some of your thoughts on doTERRA is taking a look at doing some upgrades to the compensation plan to make it better for everyone, and especially for those early ranks, Premier, Silver, Gold, like even up through Platinum. Like it's a tough part of the comp plan where you're working really hard, but the pay is not amazing. So just for fun, if you have any great ideas, go ahead and put that in the chat. Seth Rizame and I have been attending meetings at corporate and heading up those meetings to see if we can collaborate to come up with a solid upgrade to the comp plan. Emily, anyways, I don't want to suggest anything, but here's one example. So the Power of 3 1500 was created in 2008, right? But the value of $1,500 has depreciated. So if that were to be equal to the same now, it would have to pay out $2,200 for the 1500, and then the other amounts accordingly. So how do we make Power of 3 an evergreen compensation commission that doesn't it doesn't have built-in diminishing value? So just food for thought. If anyone has any genius ideas, Pete's saying an increase in Power of 3 level 1 and 2. So they've looked at that. If we did that, would you be willing to decrease the third level? And how do we get around the just the sheer fact of deflation, depreciation, right? Like everything, the value of the dollar will continue to drop in every economy. So how do we work around that? So go ahead and put your thoughts in the chat if you've got any. Okay, love it. Yep, I'm seeing some ideas coming through the chat. So interesting. As Seth and I have pulled out the spreadsheets, and we've worked with doTERRA's modeling team to just think about the original design of the comp plan and how good it really is. Yeah, Jeff is saying an index to inflation. Maria, a bonus. Yep, love these thoughts. So yeah, and I don't think, well, I don't know. The problem with Power 3 is you can't be changing the cash value, the cash amounts every 5-10 years based on inflation. Like I'd love to find an evergreen solution to that. So Jeff, I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on what you mean by index that. Yeah, and I love the fact that doTERRA is so open. Like they know that we have to be competitive, and that yeah, like even just I know Greg reached out to us, Greg Cook, several months ago, and he was like, we know that the names of the early ranks, like director and executive and manager, like those are names that probably don't appeal to our target audience. Like those used to be meaningful and aspirational. maybe 20 years ago, but not really today. So really, really good food for thought. Love, love to hear everyone else's thoughts. So if you could wave your magic wand, what would you name those early ranks? What could we use that is, yeah, that's attractive, that's relevant, timely? Yeah, I also love the idea of um, like some companies are moving away from like the metals, gold, platinum, diamond, or precious things, I should say. And they're leaning towards, like brand manager and sales manager, just because that's more like corporate structure. So good food for thought. Go ahead and keep adding your ideas into the chat. Love hearing all the ideas. So, all right. Well, I am here to serve you today. So I'd love to talk through any of your goals, any of your blocks, whatever is coming up for you. Love to hear it, and we can work through it together. So go ahead and raise your hand, and we can bring you on live and have a chat. I love all the ideas that are coming through on comp plan. Good stuff. So good. Hello, friend.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great. How you doing?
Here we go. My Zoom's being a little tricky this morning, but we're all good. We're here.
My Facebook Live was giving me grief.
We love
We
technology.
love technology. It's our
Oh,
friend.
oh, hi, friend. I haven't seen you
Oh,
forever
I
because
know. I've been traveling and
it
it's been a crazy couple weeks. So,
has been. You were Australia and then leadership or leadership, then Australia.
yeah, so we were Thailand for a month and then Australia. No, Australia leadership. So we did the cruise
Right.
between that and then leadership and then Australia for a week. So it's been crazy over here.
Yeah.
So thanks for hopping on with us. It's so good to
Oh my goodness.
be together. And thank you again for covering so many of those times that the timing didn't line up and the internet wasn't working in Thailand and all the things.
Well, it's so good to be with you guys and so looking forward to this. I've missed you all. It's so good to be
Mm.
back. So, and what I'm just maybe not, I don't know if this is valuable or not. It's not at all, but see all that white stuff behind you?
I know.
I'm kind of over it.
Do you have white stuff in your neighborhood?
Not on the ground. We don't,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it was here just even a few days ago. So we're navigating.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see you guys and be back with you. I've missed you all. Happy March. It's almost officially spring,
Maybe
right?
we all just wear spring clothes next week and
Yeah.
we just claim it, just declare it and own it. Like
Yes.
it's going to be all tropical florals and like all the bright colors.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I mean, it's just like maybe I'm going to get my nails done this week. I know you guys are all thrilled to hear about this, but I've already decided because I normally pick a fairly pretty neutral color, but I'm going to go bright. We're going to go a pop of color because it's like I need a little
It's
more
time.
color right now. And
It's time.
yeah, it's time. We need spring, guys. We need some spring, don't we? Well, I don't want to interrupt whatever you were talking about or sharing about. I'd love to just drop in and hear what's going on, what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, well, we've been talking about doTERRA's new recharge, um, the new greens, which are a couple years old, but they've been reformulated in the last couple years. And then doTERRA is taking a look at upgrading the comp plan. And so I was taking a poll on what people would like to see in a new comp plan. So that's where we've been so far. And then I just opened it up for any questions, comments, blocks, whatever folks want to work on.
Good stuff. I have two thoughts. One is product based and one is intention based. But product based, what are you guys diffusing lately? Because I have a new diffuser blend for you that will rock your world. It's so good. So I want to hear what you guys are diffusing right now, because I'm just so grateful for these essential oils, and we've been diffusing them. We've been using them a lot. You know, we do all the time anyway, but I've been loving, there's a blend I've been putting together that's a combination between green mandarin. Anyone else love green mandarin?
Right
And
here.
supposedly it's the oil of like pure potential, right? From the emotions side, but it's so high vibe. But you blend some green mandarin with wild orange. I think I'm going to be a wild orange OG fan forever. I realize
It's a
it's like
junkie.
$10, you know.
It's a
I just
classic.
use the oil of abundance, right? So a little green mandarin, little wild orange, and then a little, little goes a long way, but a little geranium. You might even add 1 or 2 drops of lemon if you're just looking for the power packed like citrus burst. But I'm telling you, a little green mandarin with wild orange and a little geranium. And
Wow.
it's so good. A classic blend of mine I've done for years. Some of you know this if we've been together for 10 plus years. Some of you, we've done this a long time. A couple of events that we hosted around convention, I had what was called the Heart and Hustle blend, right? And that was simply a combination of citrus bliss and geranium. And I love to diffuse that too, but add green mandarin, wild orange, a little bit of geranium. You guys, it's so good. And so again, I'm just thinking about, I love sharing ideas like what you guys are blending and what's up for you, because it's just like, the power of blending. I think when we're diffusing in our homes, some of you have joined past courses we've done before when we talk about what feels like abundance to you. That's a really good question to write down and to do some journaling around what feels like abundance to you. And then you do those things that tap you into that feeling state, right? Because more often that we do that. So, having clean sheets in the bed on our bed, or, going for a walk or a run, or listening to great music, or having your pantry organized, or whatever various things. But diffusing oils always feels like abundance to me, right? Like you think of that. And so tapping into what are those blends that support you for various, of course, emotions, moods, and things that you're navigating. And so that's just a favorite. I love reading what you guys are also sharing too, what you're diffusing or what you're loving. So yeah, I love that. Yeah. So when Jeff says abundance is not worrying about the bank balance, so then you think about, okay, what I want to feel more confident, more secure. I want to feel more in trust and flow. What are some of the activities that help you tap into that abundance? And the second thought that I have for all of you that's more around intention is that cyclically, we're about to begin spring in the Northern Hemisphere, right? As we were just talking about. And when you think about that, some of you, I'm just curious, how many of you felt like you started January 1st with like a very clear plan, goals, maybe your vision board, all of those various things? How many of you felt like, and maybe you've really been getting after it? And for some of you, cyclically, spring is definitely symbolically and literally like new beginnings, and it's a new start. And I don't know about you, but for me, I'm going to look at the 21st of March is that the date, guys, for spring in the Northern Hemisphere. I realize not all of you are in the Northern Hemisphere, but anytime it technically can be a new beginning. We get to decide that. But I'm feeling like really New Year's is going to start in March. Anyone else? Like, it's Happy New Year's. So as much as we're going to say Happy Spring, Happy New Year's, I've been doing, this year we've had a lot of wintering and, cozying in and getting prepared and kind of letting those seeds germinate, so to speak. But If you want to join me, I'm going to say next week is Happy New Year's. But
I'm
think
in.
about it, right? You're in.
Yep.
Andy's in. Anyone
Let's
else
do
in?
this.
But it's just like, different traditions around the world. You have, the tradition of the Chinese New Year and the Year of the Dragon this year, and that beginning at a different time. Astrologically, apparently, it's like the beginning of, I don't know much about that, but it's the beginning of a new astrological year, that kind of thing. But the reality, it could be whenever we want. But sometimes it made sense to me this year more than it ever had, is setting goals and being like, let's get after things in the middle of winter. That's when we're cocooning and hibernating, right? And it's like, ooh, maybe we do take that on. And so perhaps no matter how you're feeling about the first few months of this year or where you're at, but that's where my thoughts and my energy is starting to percolate around, is that like, ooh, it's spring and it's a new beginning, and Happy New Year, guys. Yes. I
I
love
love it.
one resource Kathy mentioned in the chat. She says, I'm following the 12-week year, so my new start is April 1st.
Mm.
If you guys have never read that book, it's a phenomenal book, the 12-week year, and really seeing it rather than like a full year, is looking at every 90 days, how much you can get done and create with focus. That is a great book. So Kathy, thanks for putting that back on our radar. But that was just my thought, is spring and new beginnings and intentions and what you want to see happen and take place in your life, right? Like those intentions we want to be cultivating.
So great. So true, right? I'm the creator of time. That's
Mm.
one of the mantras that Roxanne uses all the time. And it's like, yeah, like I define time. Why am I a slave to somebody else's definition of beginning, end? And I love that. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Maybe we get together and have a little gathering. Because you were technically already gone by New Year's. You were over
This is true.
traveling. So maybe we have a New Year's party this next week.
So good.
Yeah.
All right, we have a question from um, Ruth. She says, can you give us an example of a conversation onboarding someone as an impact advocate? So some of you might have seen mine and Natalie's presentation from leadership, but maybe as a recap, I can just show those couple of slides that she's referring to. As part of our presentation, we broke down how we enrolled each of our qualifying legs. So I've got it pulled up here. So let me just go ahead and share screen and just walk you through that. So this is the photos of each of our qualifying legs in the order that we enrolled them. So the top row is our main account, and then the bottom row is our multiplier account, or M1. So we took a look at how we found them, and the C's were our own contacts, and the N's we found through networking. So as you can see, the first 4 people were in our warm market, like immediate circle. And then after that, it was all networking except for our son, Max. So that's 38% was our contacts, and then the rest through networking. Then we take a look at how we approach those people, and everyone in green, we approached about the business primarily. Everyone in blue, we approached about the product. And then Heidi on the right here, we talked to about impact, meaning how can I make a difference in the world? How can I be an advocate for social change, like lifting people out of poverty, creating a sustainable movement around a cause. So a lot of the people on the left, they have a cause, but it was the business that first intrigued them as a way to support their cause. So whereas Heidi, she didn't need any more money. It was literally just the impact that drew her to doTERRA. So here's the breakdown of business 69%, product 23, impact 8%. So that's a little context around what Ruth is asking about. So impact, I can tell you how it went down with Heidi. We spent a lot of time getting to know her. She told us all about her life journey. You know, she's empty nester. She and her husband are, I mean, mostly retired, but she spent most of her life working with NGOs, nonprofits, working on policy, and 100% cause related. Like, I don't know of any project that she worked on that was not based around a cause. So knowing that shaped 100% the way we spoke to her about doTERRA. So what do you think we focused on? We talked about healing hands. We talked about co-impact sourcing. We talked about the trips that we've been on, and the temple or the hospital in Somaliland that we're building, and just the incredible force for good that doTERRA is in the world for making a difference. And so it was fantastic to have all of the videos that doTERRA has for co-impact sourcing, for healing hands, for, you know, like, I love how at leadership, we even did recognition for the wellness advocate who's done the most matching projects through Healing Hands. I think it was like 8 projects. I think it was a gal from, was it Tennessee or North Carolina? Anyways, it was so cool that that was recognized. And, you know, we put a frame around the things that we value. And so that was, that's how we spoke to Heidi. We talked about how, yes, there are ways to make money, but the cool thing is you can use money to further a cause. So that's how we talked to Heidi. We also have a cool example of Catherine Paniagua. So this is a front line to Matt Shante Hall. She had been in doTERRA for 12 years. I think she had built a silver and then it kind of fell back to elite. So she really just, her husband had a great income. There was no real need for money. And so the drive just wasn't there. But then she was on a trip with Matt Shante. So important note there, like they didn't just drop her off because she wasn't an active builder. They were still dear, dear friends and spent lots of time together. And it was on one of those trips that Kat just said, you know, what would it take for me to get to Diamond? Like, what if I did it in a single month? Like elite to Diamond in a month. And Matt and Shante were like, yeah, we could do it. Like anything's possible. You're a limitless creator. Let's take a look at it. And so they drew it out. And then right as Danny and Kat were dropping Matt and Shante off at the airport to fly home, like literally 10 minutes before dropping them off, she had just watched the movie Cries of Freedom or Voice Sounds of Freedom. Anyways, the movie about human trafficking. And that was a cause that really spoke to her. And so she's like, whoa, what if I went Diamond and forever donated all of my doTERRA income to ending human trafficking? And she was like, okay, I am all in. And so they had a couple of weeks to prepare. And then in August of last year, she went from elite to Diamond. And it was 100% impact. There was no other motivation for her. There was nothing else. I mean, obviously she loves doTERRA. She loves the product. The idea of building a team was appealing to her, but it was only the social impact that motivated her to build the business to Diamond. So super inspiring. That's how that conversation went down. But yeah, I think we are seeing a shift in mindset. I think a lot of the rising generation, they don't want to work for a traditional corporation. They really have no interest in a standard career. They're only motivated. A lot of them are just motivated by making a difference, like being a warrior for something good and making that positive change in the world. So I think it would do us all well to kind of learn that language and lead out with the heart and soul of doTERRA, which is service, because it's the best vehicle I found for serving.
Mm, I love that. And I think my 2 cents weigh in on that, Andy, would be you obviously can lead with all three, right?
Yeah,
It's like, hey, we have,
right.
it's like we have apple pie and chocolate brownies and amazing snickerdoodles. It's kind of like we're a triple threat. We're nailing that. But to your point, is different humans are motivated by different needs. And so letting them know, it's like in our marketing and in
Yeah.
our sharing, is like joining a top tier company with quality products
Mm-hmm.
that can help empower people financially and create their own financial life. And yet critically, or so importantly, they're also making such an impact. Is that is like a value, right, to everyone? Because I think, wouldn't we all say that to some extent? It's like, even though it's like I joined because of the products, or I joined because of the business, I think everyone to some degree or another, if is like we're motivated to also be like, am I contributing?
Mm-hmm.
And you and I texted about that a little bit last night. Is being in contribution is where you actually have a life that's fulfilling, and a
Yeah.
life that gives you nourishment and purpose is contribution. And so, but some people, again, if they're really, finances are a real source of pain or frustration or stress, or even just, or desire, right? Like, it's so good. I've been listening to another new good book on money called something like Money Loves You or something like that someone recommended. But the point of it is shifting your energy around money. But it's like, great, we want to make money, don't we? I hope you guys want to make money. Does everyone here want to make money? Are we still in the right spot? And
Totally.
so that's not or. Sometimes we think it's an either or, it's the and possibility. And do you also want to make an impact at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah. So thank you for bringing that up, because for sure there'll be people where that will be their main driving source, is making a bigger impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Good.
Great question. Thank you for that, Ruth. All right, raise your hand if you have another question, another block you want to talk through. You want to talk through goals, when your calendar year starts and stops, um, whatever serves.
Yeah, like what's up for in the world? What's up in our world here? What everyone's needing support around, or what you're wanting to create. Andy, what have you been reading or listening to lately? Is there a book or a podcast or something you've read or listened to lately on all of those travels? Or maybe you've actually just gotten some sleep, while you're out and about.
Yeah.
But what have you been
Um,
reading or listening to that's you've been loving?
well, this isn't necessarily a book I recommend, but so doTERRA Australia had a manager, a general manager that anyways, he's gone now, but he organized the lineup for leadership, and so they based Australia's leadership on a book called The Diary of a CEO, Stephen Bartlett. And so I made it through about 3/4 and couldn't finish it. So that was a thumbs down read for me. So
Okay. Thumbs down
yeah,
for Andy Goddard,
yep,
guys.
yep.
Which I do think there's value too in knowing, like, hey, these are my yeses and these are my nos,
Yes, yeah.
right? That just because something gets attention doesn't mean it's an alignment for you.
But for our leadership presentation, I did give Multipliers a reread. So that's Liz Wiseman and Greg McEwen.
Mm,
And it really is targeted at corporate America. So most of it's kind of targeted at managers, people who have employees, but still really powerful principles. Um, and I did put a link to the talk that Natalie and I gave at Leadership. So if anybody wants to watch that, give that a look-see, because that's pretty much, we took the core principles from multipliers and we tailored it to doTERRA. So for anybody who wants that, go ahead and give that a watch. But I am loving the Build the Life You Want, Arthur Brooks. So
Yeah.
Tiffany and I both attended the talk he gave in Park City, and that guy is still rocking my world. I'm loving Arthur Brooks. So
Mhm.
so those are my tops lately. How about for you?
Mm. Oh goodness, that's so good. I'm loving some of the things too, the chat box as well, coming back to those books. But I mean, I've been in a little bit some of my classics, right, since the first of the year, Atomic Habits and Essentialism, as we talked about. I've been listening to some YouTube videos around Michael Singer's work. If any of you read Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul or The Surrender Experiment, he's been showing up for me a lot in the last few weeks of just how we, our mental thoughts and our attachments and our samskaras, as he calls them, right? And the different things. So I really like his work, in that regard as well. And just listening again to some great podcasts and a couple of different books. Let's see, the Audible book, as I was mentioning, I've been listening to a couple of different things and recently downloaded some things. So there's a book called Love Money, Money Loves You. And then I was listening also earlier this year to 12-Week Year, right? So those kinds of things. And then I've just downloaded a book, a woman named Kayla Craft. I've not listened to this, and I ordered the book too. I heard her on a podcast on Monday, a woman, Kayla Craft, book called What Do You Really Want? I don't know what network marketing company she made, was a top level producer in a network marketing company. So she understands that world, built a very thriving business. She doesn't mention which one. She's now transitioned into full-time coaching and speaking and writing this book. But I really liked her message. She's a faith-based woman, and that has resonance for me with, what she's creating and some of the things she was talking about. There's a podcast show, again, she was on called the Powerhouse Woman podcast with Lindsay Schwartz and Kayla Craft. So those are just a couple of things that, are recent and that, oh gosh, now, yeah, it's like my brain's a little mushy, you guys. I'm in healing mode. I'm in like, my brain has been a little bit
I was
like,
the sa-
yeah, I forgot sentences. How are we making those things happen? But I have been reading a book that's so incredible called Braiding Sweetgrass. And I forget in this moment, Robin something is her, and you can actually get that book on Audible for free. And but she's a botanist and just talking about Mother Earth and the world and life experiences. I'm loving that book. And then the other book I've started reading, physical copy book, right? That is Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act Way of Being. That's a phenomenal book. We're all creative and tapping into your creativity. So anyway, not to overwhelm you, but there's lots of things that I've been reading or listening to over the last several weeks. So those are some things that I think support. But yes, we have a couple of questions that are popping in the chat box or on question. You said Jen Cole, do you want to come on live with us? She says she has a question. Florence has a question. And I think Dr. Christine also was asking about if you're starting Silver Club, that kind of thing. So we can talk through that too.
Okay, I think Jen is coming on.
There you go. I'm sorry, I've been on Zoom, but not like this. So, yeah, so I actually did doTERRA as a business. You guys were my upline. And I've received like Christmas gifts still from you guys. It's kind of cool, but not actively doing the business. And so, Rachel Harvey is my upline. And I'm in Reno, Nevada. So hopefully that helps you where I'm at.
Totally.
But yeah, so it's good to see you and talk to you guys. It's been a long 7 years, I think, really, since I stopped doing doTERRA. I still order, I still get my 30% off. I still share the oils because they've changed my life. But yeah, when I started the business, I was maybe 26 or something like that. Now I'm 30, 38. And so I've seen doTERRA grow and as a company, and just like the values have stayed the same, which is really cool to see. And then I really had a hard time building the business. I think as a younger person, my immediate network was younger people and young moms, which can sometimes be successful, but I was definitely middle, lower class. So a lot of my like warm market was those people. And I just kind of got burnt out. I like was doing all that I possibly could to educate people, and I believed in the product, and I wanted to serve people. And then I just I just got burnt out. And my spouse at the time, I'm now divorced, but he was not super supportive. I signed up with doTERRA because I knew that I had an experience with Deep Blue that I couldn't like dispute, and I had to tell people about that because I always had like chronic neck and shoulder pain, and I used that. My chiropractor shared it with me, and then I like never really stopped learning about health and wellness at that point, and still haven't. And since then, I have become a health coach, and I have lost 80 pounds, and like just really turned my life around. And then emotionally, in the program that I like live and teach out, emotional management is huge. And so all of that though, like doTERRA started that journey for me. And so yeah, it's just I was literally on one of my health coaching uplines. He posted a live, and it literally got taken here after that video stopped. So I was like, I have to like at least say something because I feel like it's a God thing. So he's in Utah as well, and I don't know, I'm a Christian, but like I have like completely with doTERRA, and then with Optavia is the company I'm with now, completely been surrounded by Mormons. And it's like the funniest thing. And I love you guys, and I have so much respect for all of that. And it's just cool to see that God can just work through whoever and whatever. So anyway, that's like a little bit of a take on my experience with doTERRA. I was never able to really get 3 builders under me. And then for me, as a business owner, I was just like, this is frustrating because I feel like if I don't have those people who are as passionate about this business as I am, I can't build this. And that was like the most frustrating thing for me. So I think now with the companies that I'm with, it's a little bit differently structured. And I don't know if doTERRA has changed over the years. I'm not sure, structure wise. But anyway, that's a little bit of a nutshell about my experience. And I just wonder, what do you find is like the best way to build doTERRA at this point?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm so glad that the universe led you here, and that you showed up and raised your hand to ask your question. That's step one, right? Of showing up is following those little God winks or whatever you want to call them, and showing up. So that's huge. And it sounds like the thing that got you to build was a profound product experience. And in your build, you were never able to find partners or builders to work with. So I can tell you that's a hard road. That's a hard way to try to build something that's sustainable, because you're doing all the heavy lifting. You're doing all the teaching, the supporting. You're basically building yourself a customer support job. And that's not a dream that I would wish on anyone. Like that's not a dream job. It's not fulfilling. You've just created a job for yourself. So I totally hear where you're coming from. Also, I know that it can be tricky to get younger people to first of all, have a life-changing product experience. And I don't want to throw out a limiting belief here, but the fact is, like, a lot of young people in their 20s, they can get away with a lot and feel amazing. Like, their bodies are just so young that they can eat McDonald's 3 times a day and be like, yeah, I'm on top of the world. I'm in great shape. I don't need your supplements. I don't need your oils. Like I'm doing just fine. So my experience, and this is just limited to my experience, it's tricky to find a it's tricky to build a team of mostly young, 20 somethings, both as builders and as customers. It's been a struggle. I know lots of people who have tried, and I don't know anybody who has created a long-term team that way. So you're in good company that way too. That's a tough demographic.
Yeah. And I'm also from Canada, I will say that. So this was before doTERRA was like approved or during. I did Diamond Club when it was approved. And I had 1 month where I almost went, I think it's Premier. I could be wrong. And or I did go Premier. And then it just wasn't sustainable because I was the one that was doing it. It wasn't anybody under me. Yeah. So
yep. So here's my coaching. There is have you heard of the business building guide that doTERRA has put together?
I mean, I haven't been active for, like 7 years.
Okay. So let me just share. Let's see. I think this is the right. So I just Google doTERRA Empowered Success, and then I click on that first link. And this is the business building guide right here. Okay. So it's a 100-page manual on everything you need to know to launch and support a thriving doTERRA team. So there's a whole section in here on finding business builders. So here's the table of contents, right? It's loading.
I always love all of the photos. Like you guys always, always so beautiful.
Oh my gosh, they took out the table of contents. I love it when they move my cheese. So fun. But anyways, the whole like fourth section, which is probably like pages, I'm just gonna guess here, like 70 to 90 are about finding business builders. So I think it's right here. So my recommendation, here it is, finding business partners, page 81. So go download this PDF. It's totally free.
Okay.
And read this section on finding business partners, because they can be in your warm network, but as you saw, I don't know if you're watching earlier, but I showed our qualifying legs. Most of them we found through networking. So they were not in our warm network. It was just found through a friend of a friend, the contact of a contact. And so these are a bunch of sample scripts of how to ask for builder referrals. Here are some scripts for how to talk to strangers. And then once you are in conversation, here is that word track, right? We follow the build guide, and the build guide is phenomenal. It's so powerful. So first you do a lot of listening, you let them talk about what, and that's how you're going to learn what's important to them so that you can speak to what matters to them. And you can tell a little bit of your story, talk about building a financial pipeline, and then why we partner with doTERRA. And then the whole next section is on launching those builders once you've had that dialogue. So that's where I would start, is just start to master the skill of asking for referrals and then having that build conversation, because it's really that simple. It's not, we make it seem like you have to have all these sales skills, but it's
the oils sell themselves.
They
Like,
do.
that's the nice thing.
They do the heavy lifting.
I still have clients that still contact me to order, so it's like, it definitely builds a business on relationships at that point, and they still reach out to me because they know I know all the things. Like, I still use them on my kids. My son has cerebral palsy. Like, there's been things in my life that have happened since I started with doTERRA that, Michelle just commented. She's my upline here, so that's funny.
Awesome.
But I haven't been in contact with these people in a long time, but I receive a text or two a year, and then that's about it. But anyway, I am thankful for you guys. You guys rock, and honestly are doing so much good in this world. So I love seeing and hearing from you and all of the things. And I have to go, but like
Right.
message me on Facebook, or I don't know, maybe Michelle will reach out or whoever wants to, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it was great to talk to you guys. And Tiffany Peterson, I remember all the time, like you guys sending us stuff, and and just it's such a blessing to see you guys are still doing the hard work, and and sharing all the things. So it's awesome.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for hopping on. And
Okay.
feel free to hop off if you need to, but we'll just kind of keep
I just have to get
speaking.
I have to get my daughter to school, but yeah,
You're
use
great.
my example and do whatever.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Have a
You're
blessed day.
welcome. So nice to see you. And it's, I think too, it's leading with the transformation and the revolution that is so strongly, I think, across like, the globe is this health and wellness revolution where more and more people are saying, even if they're like, hey, I'm, pretty traditional in my, you know, medicine practices, so to speak, or my wellness practices, more and more people are moving integrative or wanting to be more empowered, right? And saying, oh, I want tools and I want to be more empowered for myself and my kids. And so I just think it's such great timing. And I absolutely, Jen, would share your story often, with others about your own health transformation is, again, like we like to say with sales, is you want to sell the destination, not the airplane. And so as you talk about like, hey, being healthier and happier, having your kids emotionally and physically and yourself, like, all the different ways that people, I think there's a more awake, we're having so many more conversations than we ever have podcasts, right? Like I love listening to Andrew Huberman's podcast and Rich Roll, and and these are massive platforms, and with millions and millions of downloads, where more and more people are getting educated or inspired by being healthier, cold plunging to saunas, to green juices, to essential oils, to yoga, to tapping. Like never, ever has there been a more primed audience for you all to be sharing. What matters is that you do share though, right? And that you're willing to be seen. And you're willing to use your voice and to share it. Most of you are probably comfortable taking orders, meaning if someone contacts you proactively, you say, yeah, I'd be happy to help and that's phenomenal. But are you proactively putting yourselves out there to share, hosting the events, hosting the calls, sharing on social, doing the various things where you proactively let people know what you're about and inviting them. Hey, if you're curious about your own health transformation, let's talk. I mean, even as simple as that ask, but that opens a door where people then can reach out and you're like, yeah, let's connect about this. So I just love, that she's sharing that and bringing us back to some of those reminders.
So good. And I love Michelle's suggestion in the chat. I think she said that's her upline. Michelle said, would she be served by coming to an experienced doTERRA? And I think absolutely. So Michelle, I think, will probably reach out to her in private, but anytime you have somebody who was building, they've stepped away, or maybe you have a new business prospect, you don't have to do all of that conversation yourself. Just invite them to come to Experience doTERRA, and we'll take care of the rest. It's a powerful way to expose people to the heart and soul of doTERRA, the product, the business. We basically start Friday at 1 p.m. and go till Saturday at 2 p.m. And we give people a really deep dive into who we are, how we work, and it's life-changing. So that
really is a cool experience. I would
Yeah.
invite you guys to go or get your different people to go and make a fun trip out of it. Plus, I understand there might be an ice cream machine maker on site.
Listen, we
Is this
are
true?
committed. We're taking a look
Look
at
at him. Look at his face. I love
We're taking
this.
a look at some new business opportunities. Basically, we'll do whatever it takes to get an ice cream machine into our lives. So that's the bottom line here.
I do have one. It's like a children's one, but one off Haley B's team, someone in her downline brought me one off all these conversations. It's just been a minute since I've used that material. I mean, we're just pulling out some stuff stuff from the archives today. Just trying to get Andy, it's like, hey, but you guys might be an ice cream machine maker,
Yeah.
fresh ice
So-
cream on site, and you can put a few essential oils into it. So
So I think that means since I don't have mine yet, maybe you need to come.
I'll let
bring
you
your
borrow
ice cream
mine.
machine,
We'll crank some ice cream out.
Yeah, just bring it here to the mountaintop, right?
Yes, there we go. Let's go to the mountaintop, everybody. Who doesn't want to do that? Let's have a transformation.
So true.
Anyway, but sincerely, I'm not trying to be a stinker. Sometimes I am. I just have to be, guys. And I've missed being a stinker for a minute. So there we go.
Well, we are so grateful you're here.
I'm so happy to be here. Experience doTERRA, that opportunity. Andy, will you just tell people where they find those dates or how to get connected to that? Because it really is such great experience for people to really get the vision, feel part of something, and get lit on fire to build with you.
So it's experiencedoterra.com. And because you're on this call, we're going to give you a special code that'll knock most of the price off. So if you use the code GROW, GROW, then that'll give you a hefty price savings. So
and the ice cream cone.
You might, dang it, you sweetened the deal too much. They can't say no now.
Can't say no. It'll be lavender ice cream though. It'll be something. I'm not kidding. It's like so tasty.
Okay, Florence has a question. She says, as I begin to reach out, I'm finding a number of people doing the oils from the other company. I love how the other company is like Voldemort, right? Like the name, the company that shall not be named.
Yes.
The question is, how do you gracefully be around them?
Yes.
I have no interest in them, but I would love to promote doTERRA. So you know what? Gary Young was an absolute pioneer, and I will shout that from the rooftops. Like, he did more good for doTERRA than maybe anyone else, because he brought oils into the conversation. Like, the 25 years that Young Living spent before doTERRA started was the launch of essential oils into the West. And so I am forever grateful to that man. His house is just a mile from here. I know he passed a year or two ago, but his widow, Mary, still lives just a mile down the street. And I edify him every chance I get. And so with Young Living people, I do the same thing. I say, I'm so grateful for everything that Gary did to bring oils into the awareness, the conversation. And they have been the gold standard up until doTERRA started. So you don't have to tear anyone down. You don't have to, bash or, like get into the mud with anyone. Just say, and now doTERRA is the gold standard. And so would you be open to taking a look and trying them? We haven't had a lot of luck with recruiting Young Living people. In fact, we were reaching out to someone, I think they're in Singapore, and we said, could we meet up and just talk about, what you're up to, what we're up to? And they said, let me tell you something. I've had Young Living oils injected in my spine. Can you say the same thing about you and your oils? And that's when we're like, oh, okay,
yeah.
They are all in.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, I have some thoughts on this, but I think he's modeling this for you guys perfectly. Do you feel the energy when he was talking about Gary Young? It was legit. It was sincere. Like, you just modeled that. And gratitude. And that will actually, like, if I was a Young Living rep and you were speaking that way, it would immediately bring me towards you. And it's bonding us in a way. So finish your thought, but I definitely want to weigh in on this. But he's modeling this for you guys beautifully.
And us personally, before doTERRA was around, Young Living was the main line that we used. And so just talk about how you have always been in pursuit of the purest, most potent, powerful plant medicine on the earth. And for a while, it was Young Living, and it served our family beautifully. Mm-hmm. And then we found something better. And so, so grateful for doTERRA now. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I would position it. No need to roll in the mud. So, and I'm seeing lots of people in the comments who used Young Living for years. Someone is a massage therapist, someone else is a chiropractor. So it's yeah, it's great.
So one of the things I want to share, I love Florence in her question. She says, my question is, how do you gracefully be around them? And I just invite you to remind yourself, Florence, you are grace. We don't have to work at being grace or work at love. I mean, sometimes, yes, we need to dial in the channel, right? Like I'm being intentional, is be graceful. You are grace, you are love. Because sometimes, and again, I love, it's like gratitude for all the work they did before and laying the some of that groundwork. And then it moved into a 2.0 and moved into I've always, like Andy modeled, been in pursuit of the highest therapeutic grade quality products out there. And so I loved if you used Young Living in the past, because several of you did, you share it from that perspective and saying, as you know, and if I can ever, there's things you want to sample and try, great. But I think that it's similar in Christianity, right? Like everyone thinks they have the correct block on Jesus. Like, well, my Jesus is better than your Jesus. And sometimes we can get into that where that experience is find your common ground and be loving about it, right? Is versus, which again, I know that's a whole conversation of like different theologies and things like that. But that example of sometimes like, hey, let me convince you how wrong you are about the way that you connect to Jesus. Our church or this, theology is better than or whatnot. It's really that creates divisiveness. And so I think a lot of times when we come into this conversation is you are grace, you are love. And we honor that. And you see when Andy just modeled that, how clean his energy was about it when he was talking about it, it was sincere. And he can also then be in ownership. And I feel that we've found a more clean or pure way. And you can also say that too with your religious or your spiritual traditions or whatever the things are. But I think that when we find the common ground, then you create connection and that people go, wow, I so love what the Goddards are about. I want to know more about what they're doing with their oils or their faith or their things or their homeschooling, right? It's just like, there's always ways that it's like, this is the best way to homeschool your kids and our way is better than your way. And anytime we get into that energy, then you create conflict. And so I get it, but it's like, those also, Florence, are your people. Like I love to be around people of all different variations of their faith and the ways that we practice it and learn more. And the more that you're curious and, oh, I see that is like, also, I think a way that people become like, oh, wow, she could hold space for me. I'm curious more about what she's up to. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Just good. I love that we talk about that because, and the way, again, Andy, you modeled that was so perfectly. I'm glad this is recorded as well. It's like, oh, yes. Okay. I can acknowledge it in this way where I'm still in ownership because you're owning. As for me, we were always committed to finding the cleanest, most therapeutic grade. And as that shifted for us, this is where doTERRA came into our lives.
So much goodness. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany, for coming on, for sharing your light, and for just gifting us with your time. It's always a gift. Thank you all for hopping on and bringing your great questions. I love the dialogue here. It is a gift, and we love our doTERRA family. And we look forward to seeing you all next week.
Good stuff, you guys. Nice to see you. Have a great week. We'll see you guys soon.